Carlos Hart, Zach Hart, back with another episode of Shift Up, the show about the World Cup where anything's possible, even a last minute goal from Qatar against Switzerland.
Man, hopefully y'all tuned in and were able to watch a lot of the games. There were some exciting games and there were some snooze fests like we saw today.
Yeah, I feel like I need to issue an apology or print a retraction for my assumption in the last episode that we were going to see some good football. How many good games do you think we saw this weekend?
Man, that's a good question. I'd probably say about like good quality games through and through,
Yeah,
maybe about four.
four. Okay.
Yeah, four games. I mean, we'll cover them obviously, but like in terms of just entertainment and stuff like that. Yeah.
Of course. Well, let's talk about the opener, I guess. That's probably the best place to start at the beginning, right? So we started off with Group A and we kicked off this tournament with Mexico and South Africa. The score line was 2-0 in favor of Mexico, and we were able to see most of this game live, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. Definitely saw some good talent from the Mexico standpoint. I think that there are definitely some players that stood out to me. On the South African side, not really. I think that's one of the weakest teams personally that I've seen so far in this week of games. Again, they're playing Mexico. Mexico's a good team. So, um, but yeah, I some good football, but kind of one-sided.
I think that Mexico is definitely in a group where they can prove their talent and prove their worth and prove that they have a spot in the knockouts. I think that the other teams that they will be facing will really give them a good opportunity to showcase their talent. And I don't see a version of the rest of their games where they're not Mexico sided.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. I mean that's fair. I think South Korea, definitely put in a decent performance. I think that when we see Mexico and South Korea play, it's not gonna be a shock for Mexico, but it's gonna be, I think, levels higher than South Africa, to be honest.
for sure. In Group B, we had the pleasure of watching Canada and Bosnia duke it out, as well as Qatar and Switzerland.
Yeah. I don't even know about this group, bro. Not gonna lie. Bosnia, when we watched that game, I don't know. Even Canada, like that game was a snooze fest for me, to be honest.
Hard to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And Canada having some strong players for sure. They just don't perform. I mean, we saw it in the last World Cup. That's why I had them coming last in their group. Obviously, that's it's a hot take, right? I just don't think that they have it. I think that maybe the next few games something could happen, but just them going into their group being decent favorites with some decent talent, they could have done better for sure.
Yeah, I think there were reports of people calling the police about Jonathan David, saying that he was a terrorist to Canada's national team.
Yeah, I mean, if the boot fits, definitely underperforming a lot. Cause I mean, even before the last World Cup, he was going insane. Like he's a good player. He's the potential to be one of those scorers in his he could have been the top scorer in his group, but yeah, one of those non-existent strikers. So
Yeah, there definitely is something to say about kind of the history of Canada at this tournament and how they have literally never won a World Cup game before. They've played six, lost six, and now they've drawn. Like to actually get a result finally, even if it is against Bosnia, I think that's huge. And they can not so much that there's momentum to really carry forward, but I think the vibes it'll feel a little bit better in the dressing room knowing, oh yeah, we can get a point,
yeah, they can score. They can score goals. I mean, you don't win if you don't score, So I mean, even if you score one goal, might as well just defend the rest of the game. You know what I'm saying? So, you're right in the fact that this is technically a step up for them, and they just have to be able to capitalize on it. So,
Yeah, whether or not they will be able to bring it to Qatar and Switzerland, that remains to be seen. But we did get to see a little preview of what they'll be bringing us for the rest of this group stage. I know you've got something to say, so
Yeah, I was watching the game, man. I do have Qatar advancing in the group, just in my opinion. Before I saw the game, and then I looked at the game, and it's kind of another one of those snooze fest games, man. It was kind of one of those like you saw me that last half of the game. I was getting mad because the football was so poor. I like from both sides, to be honest, they were just
Yeah.
passing the ball out of bounds. I didn't really. You just can't be doing that. I think on one hand, the US is it's hot. You know, it's really hot here. Like it's getting hotter. And so obviously fitness is a big thing in these tournaments, but you can't have the level drop when you get tired. That's just the number one thing. And didn't even see too much from their subs. I don't think it got better when they put their subs in either, which, is it supposed to get better? Not necessarily, right? But fresh legs. I was seeing passes go out of bounds, simple layoffs going out of bounds. It hurt to watch.
Yeah, kind of to pick up on your point on subs. I mean, depth is always a big thing for any game, but I think for this tournament it's especially going to be huge. The way that managers will be able to sort of time their substitutions around the new hydration breaks that they've implemented for this tournament. I've definitely seen the take online that the hydration break, especially the one in the second half, it can affect how and when you bring on your substitutions. Even if you don't have that great of a squad depth, it can help to kind of refresh your players.
So, you're basically saying that the you've seen that the hydration breaks, it helps a lot in terms of the manager and the players of when he's going to make the substitutions and if he's going to make the substitutions, right? Because you have a player that could play 90 minutes and he's feeling gassed. He gets that water break and he's good, you know?
Hmm.
So maybe he was going to come off, but he might be able to put in 10 more minutes, So I mean, in terms of whether that's an advantage or not, I've seen, as you've seen before, mixed opinions online just about the hydration break in general. But with it being so hot, I don't think it's crazy. Obviously, it's a little annoying having to go back on my phone during the game because the hydration break and the commercial comes on. But I mean, I think it only benefits the players. I don't think there's any harm in it because you can even count it as some a player getting injured and they're taking a long time. People go and get water anyway, right? So it's not like they're losing a lot of momentum because the momentum was already lost. So you were just talking about depth and how the hydration breaks can affect some of the squad's depth. But I did kind of want to touch on Group C, which I think these two teams have decent depth comparatively, and that's Morocco and Brazil. What did you think of that game? We watched the entire game together. Yeah, definitely the highest level of football we'd seen so far. What do you think?
If you were to tell me that Scotland would be number one in the group after the first game between Scotland and Haiti and Brazil and Morocco, I would have said you were crazy. But I guess this is just a World Cup of crazy so far. But yes, that Brazil Morocco game, it was very fun to watch. I know that people sometimes see a 1-1 scoreline and think that the game was probably not very interesting, but I thought it was interesting just seeing kind of what was going on between the two like tactical styles of each team and how that would like influence discussion because I mean kind of when you look at the attack of this Brazil team and I don't know what changes they're going to make going forward, but it's kind of the same thing that we're seeing at Madrid right now. Like there's two people that are congested on the left wing and they're crowding that one area of the field
Hmm.
and they can't play as effectively as they probably could have. I mean, when you look at Vinicius Jr., I mean, I don't know if I would go as far as to say it was like a quote unquote team goal. I think that was kind of just a moment of individual brilliance, just sort of the angle and the position on the field where he was when he scored the goal.
Hmm.
But yeah, I feel like that's sort of the big takeaway from this game, besides the sort of uninspiring midfield that we saw throughout the game as well.
Right. And I was going to touch on the midfield as well. Morocco, especially in the first half, Morocco pretty much had the game. Just they had it. Obviously until Vinny put away that incredible finish. I think what we're gonna see a lot of is the way that teams capitalize on counterattacks. And we can even move. Actually, I'm not going to talk about it yet, but there was a game in particular that we watched. It's in one of the other groups, and there were a lot of counterattacks, and they just couldn't put it away. Counterattacks are going to be very telling when it comes to the scoreline. You saw Morocco scored a beautiful goal, right? Team goal, but they were on the counterattack, played a good ball through, chipped the keeper. Amazing goal, right? But that's how a lot of goals are going to be scored. And if we have people that are able to capitalize on it, then we're going to be able to score. But yeah, in terms of the Brazil and what you were talking about, the congestion on the wing and stuff like that, that was definitely very visible. There were some times where they hesitated to switch the play because they just wanted to attack there.
Hmm.
Um, and even throughout the middle, they didn't really attack too much throughout the middle. At least from what I had seen. But what I will say, I was impressed that when their subs came in, I do think the level did stay the same, or if not, it even went up from the subs that they brought in. And they didn't even show us all that they have to offer either. They even have people that we haven't seen yet play, like Endrick and Neymar, who can also influence the game in their own way. So they haven't showed us everything, but the fact that the level did go up when they put subs in is a really good sign. Um, Morocco, same thing, stayed the same relatively. I don't think the level dropped at all. Morocco's a great team, and this is a battle of two amazing teams, and they're ranked where they're ranked because they're that good. And so that was one of the first matches we've seen where it's like, two of the best, and it really showed. All right, so how about that US match?
I think people are getting the wrong idea from this game, man. So we actually went to see this game at a watch party, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and it was really fun to be with other people and get excited about, seeing our home country uh put four past another and just have our blood bleed red, white, and blue for a few hours, and that was really fun. Do you want me to share why I think people are going to get the wrong idea from this game, or do you want me to just glaze the men's team for a little bit more?
Nah, bro, let's get into the dirty stuff.
The dirty stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, it's Paraguay. I think there are a lot of teams that could have gotten just as good or a better result against that team. And well, the biggest thing to like about this US team is definitely its intensity. A lot of people are, kind of saying this online. The problem you run into is how long you can sustain that intensity, especially across the course of those 90 minutes. Because the USA had a lot of possession during that game, no doubt. They were really strong on the counterattack, and I feel like that intensity is what kind of leads to more chances and to more goals. And well, on the other end of things, you have the defense, which I'm sure if you poked it with a wet noodle, you could probably put one into the back of the net or
Right.
get something, get a shot off. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the US team right now. I'm really glad that they were able to score four goals. I think that the brace from Balogun was really great to see, but I think it's that combination of how much they have to sustain their intensity and the defense is where I think they're ultimately going to kind of see maybe not a drop off, but perhaps people getting confused as to why, oh, what they did so good against Paraguay, why can't they put four past England as well?
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe people are more reasonable than I'm giving them credit for.
Yeah, to touch on what you were saying, the Balogun goals, those were both really, really good goals, really quality goals, some of the best goals we've seen in the tournament so far. But yeah, I mean, Paraguay in particular, this is one of two games where we've seen a team just get destroyed, right? We'll talk about obviously the Germany game later, but this is kind of an instance where one team just their defense crumbled, right? Quality goals, though, quality goals. But the U.S. also had plenty of more chances to score. So I believe that the U.S. can go far, and I feel like this is a really good start for them. But this is not the time to get complacent at all because we've seen some upsets in we've seen upsets. So I would say that you're right in the fact that this doesn't mean we can get complacent, but a really good performance. But the other team just don't have it. They were able to put one past them, right? But at the end of the day, it was a good start for them. So hopefully they can only build up on the win.
Australia and Turkey also played, in case you didn't know. Their game was at 12 a.m. Eastern time, so unfortunately, I was not awake to watch it live, but a 2-0 scoreline for Australia, and as I'm told, that's a pretty big upset.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's not even a question that some people had Turkey winning the group or even, coming second. And I mean, Turkey is they have quality on their team. And yeah, what an upset, man. I mean, Australia does we know that they can do it now, and they haven't been, terrible team or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, they did it. So again, kind of like the US, they need to just capitalize on it, and it was a really good game from them.
Yeah, I definitely did not expect to wake up to an upset of that magnitude. Hey, you're probably looking at our end screen right now. The best way to support us is to like and share the video,
All the support means a lot. Feel free to join the Discord if you want to engage in more conversation,
or follow us on Instagram.
or TikTok.
That's true, we do have a TikTok.
Yeah, we'll link it all in the bio. It's all in the Discord. Join up, and we'd love to talk to you guys.
See you in another week.